now, right now. Right 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 now, right now. Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been getting bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest and everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about how the massive golden bull run that Bitcoin is embarking on is going to be starting soon. Although first, I've got some exciting news. Over the last 2 days, we have been talking about here on Coffee and Crypto about something that we've been calling a bear trap. That's right. A lot of bears are thinking that we're going to have a big corrective movement right now. And at this point in time, I'm starting to kind of agree with them. But that does not mean that Bitcoin is not about to go through a massive rally. That does not mean that Bitcoin's not about to rally. Forgive the double negative. That does mean that Bitcoin is still going to go into a major rally up to about $135,000 to $150,000. However, a corrective movement may still take place before that. We've had a lot of very bullish news lately, and we've even had some bearish news that Bitcoin has experienced that was a bit of a letdown that we'll be talking about today. And as a result of those developments, it does seem that Bitcoin's stagnant pricing will continue for the next few weeks. And that's something that I'm actually very excited about. I want Bitcoin to stay here for a while. I want Bitcoin to stay below 120K for a time. And I'm going to explain exactly why. I'm very excited about that. We're going to be going over today some of our trade setups. We didn't get a chance to do that in yesterday's stream, and for that, I am very apologetic. We will be correcting that today. I want to talk about where I'm going to be looking to enter into some big swing trades on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, XRP, and more. We're going to talk about all of that today, so if you want to be prepared to make as much money as possible in the next swing high that we're going to be experiencing on Bitcoin, likely at this point sometime in the month of August, if not early September, then you found the right stream. Let's get started. Guys, I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. And the reason that I love what I do is because I get to interact with you every single day. And it's because I love interacting with you that I decided to take it one step further and started the Discord server. If you guys don't know, we recently founded the first cohort trading group, which has been wildly popular. We've got a ton of people joining the first cohort trading group right now. We've got all kinds of people that are joining right now, sharing information with each other, and I'm so excited about the legendary first cohort trading group. If you're interested in getting into FCTG, the first cohort trading group, then you should sign up for 2bit with the link in the description box down below. And you should do that soon because we are actually about to start a new trading competition. There's a trading competition that 2bit is doing that I don't want you to miss out on. So I'm going to encourage you to come on over to 2bit with the link in the description box down below. You're going to see this page as it loads. You're going to see this page right here. Sign up for 2bit. You've already got a referral ID in play, so you'll be able to jump in here. If you deposit $100, then you're going to be getting access to the first cohort trading group for free for a year. Simply follow the links in the description box down below. Send a screenshot of that deposit to malachipats@cryptojeb.com, and you will be getting a one-time, 1-year free coupon code to the first cohort. But if you deposit $100 on 2bit, you'll also get $30 for free as a reward. You'll also get $50 for free just as a welcome bonus for registering. And when you do your first $1,000 of trades in perp futures, then you will be also doubling that up to $100. So turn $100 into $230 and a free year in the first cohort for free. All you gotta do is deposit $100. You can take it right back out if you want to. Deposit $100, get those benefits, sign up for 2bit, start trading over there. You will quickly find it is the best trading platform in the entire game right now. absolutely incredible. It's built on a lot of the successes that other exchanges have had. I personally think it is the best trading platform in the game right now, and I want you to join the Discord server so I can get to know you better. But I'm so excited for this stream because I get to talk to you guys. So let's go ahead and read chat for just a minute. We're going to dive right on into it. We've got Roderick in chat, Dave P, Auntie is in chat, Andrew Johnson. Let's see. We've got JC, John Doe. Who's crypto? My crypto. Ava Angels in chat. Money Badger. Leonard Farmer. Usin is in chat. BU86 in chat. Crypto Addictive. Blasnik. Matt PT. Poor Boy said, you should debate Dave Ramsey about crypto. I would love to debate Dave Ramsey about crypto. I love Dave Ramsey. I love the guy. I think he's great. And he's dead wrong about Bitcoin. Like, that is the perfect tee up for a debate. Dave Ramsey, I love you. I respect you. I admire you. There's a lot of things I want to emulate in your life and in what you've taught, and you are 100% backwards on Bitcoin. Totally wrong. It's totally wrong. Except for the fact that yesterday he said that Bitcoin is, quote, here to stay, and it is going to become a big deal. So at least he's coming around a little bit, although using his own words, he's still bashing Bitcoin. Poor guy. Come on, man. You've got a great reputation. You're going to go down in history as one of the financial greats in the financial education space. Don't be the guy that bashed Bitcoin. Don't be that guy. Larry Fink was that guy. You know what he did? He decided to bash Bitcoin. Turned around, launched the Bitcoin ETF. Now it's the most successful ETF that frickin' BlackRock has ever launched. Don't be that guy. Be the guy that hated Bitcoin and then realized, oh yeah, actually it's great, and repented. Because those are the people that are really doing well for themselves right now. Got our 49-cent iced coffee right here, right? Michael Saylor is the biggest threat to Bitcoin. Changed my mind. Ooh. Let's see. All right, let's do it. Let's jump onto the charts. We got a lot to talk about. Bitcoin right now is going through a bit of a corrective movement. We attempted to break all the way up to 120,000, ran out of steam, and we've been correcting over the last couple of days. And this is very important because Bitcoin has set a new downtrending level of resistance right here. That downtrending level of resistance looks like that. And then we also have a downtrending level of support, which basically puts Bitcoin in a falling wedge. That falling wedge has resulted in Bitcoin breaking almost all of the levels of support that we were hoping that it would hold yesterday, namely this downtrending level of support, this uptrending level of support, and this uptrending level of support. All of those have been broken except for this uptrending level of support. You could potentially redraw this right here, in which case it would actually be that Bitcoin has not broken that trend line. And so as you can see, basically every single trend line except for this one is now out of play. So we kind of have to redraw our chart from this, which is what it was yesterday, to this, which is what it needs to be today, because the chart has simply changed. The volatility paradigm has shifted. This downtrending level of support is no longer, this downtrending level support resistance, depending on what minute it is no longer really viable, so we need to go ahead and delete that. You could argue that this now constitutes the line of best fit through the chart, which is great and all, but really it doesn't help because the line of best fit that we need to be paying attention to is roughly right here, which is showing the overall inclination of the trend. In general, what we're witnessing right now is Bitcoin restricting its volatility. We've seen this happen one time recently. We've seen this happen many times, but we've seen this happen one time recently, and that was back over here during our correction below 112,000. We used the Bollinger Bands about a month and a half ago on the 8-hour chart specifically, well, actually more like the 12-hour chart on the daily chart, specifically to show that volatility was getting very, very tight right here on the daily chart, and even especially on the 3-daily chart. We saw volatility was getting very constricted. On the 3-day chart, you could see the volatility squeeze that we were undergoing. Major fall off on volatility. And as you'll remember, these volatility squeezes on 3-daily chart typically precede a major movement. We saw a volatility squeeze right here, which preceded the breakout to all-time high at 109 and then our subsequent crash. We saw a volatility squeeze right here coincide with our break bullish. So if we just kind of draw a vertical line on the last several times that we've seen these squeezes on the volatility, you'll notice that they generally precede a major movement on Bitcoin. This is kind of the closest point, the nearest point that the volatility is seen right here. This was right before our major breakout. Same thing here, right before the major breakout. Generally, before you see a big breakout, you're going to see a squeeze on the volatility. A lot of times, this will not only mark the beginning of a trend, but also the ending of a trend. And so what we're seeing right now, not on the 3 daily chart, and you can also see, of course, again, that happened right here, back towards the beginning of this month before our breakup to 123. What we're seeing right now on the daily chart is a volatility squeeze. Look at that daily chart. Sorry, that probably blew out all your eardrums. This is what I'm talking about. Look at this volatility. Vanished. It's gone. It's completely gone. Just remove all the drawings. You can see just how tightly squeezed the Bollinger Bands are right now. This is extremely important. This is exactly what John Bollinger was thinking about when he devised the Bollinger Bands over 50 years ago. Was looking for these volatility shifts, and they're generally extraordinary predictive tools. Right before the precipitous crash on Bitcoin right here on the 23rd of February of this year, you saw a very tight volatility squeeze. And you can see that happening here on the candlestick analysis too. Very, very, very tight symmetrical triangle pattern, and we broke bearish. And that's what we're seeing right now. Extraordinarily tight volatility, which almost certainly points to some kind of major breakout happening soon. Which direction is that breakout going to go? Well, something very interesting happened yesterday. None other than Sailor Boy himself, this guy, right? None other than Sailor bought $2.46 billion worth of Bitcoin. 21. You've got to imagine that was on purpose. 21,021 Bitcoin at an average price of $17,000 a coin. Bitcoin is digital energy. This is something that he and I talked about in our interview several years back. But they acquired... let's see if I can find the post. 21,021 Bitcoin. Once again, that has got to be on purpose, right? And so they have acquired $46 billion worth of Bitcoin. They bought $2.46 billion. They increased their stack by like 2 or 3% yesterday. And Bitcoin dropped. And Bitcoin dropped. Likewise, we saw an $8 billion sell-off. $9 billion sell-off of Bitcoin. 80,000 Bitcoin. $9 billion sold. And we saw a drop. So when people are selling Bitcoin in large quantities and when people are buying Bitcoin in large quantities, Bitcoin is correcting right now. I wonder why that's happening. Well, I'm so glad you asked. I'm going to explain it. The reason that Bitcoin is trading sideways right now is because of a phenomena with which I am trying to think of a catchy name for. But essentially, it's kind of like coin rotation. And I want to explain it like this. You have people that are long Bitcoin that have been holding Bitcoin for a very long time. And you have new money coming into the space. The people that have been holding Bitcoin for a very long time are wanting to sell their Bitcoin because they've been holding it for 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Not 20 years, I'm sorry. But upwards of 15 years in some cases. Some of these people have been holding Bitcoin since 2015. Since 2010, right? This is kind of what happened with this whale that was holding 80,000 Bitcoin. They've been holding it for a very long time. And so there are people that want to take profits, and there are people that want to buy. And right now, the buy and the sell pressure is roughly matched because the new money is buying and the old money is selling. Now, this is very, very, very important. The reason that this is so important is because the old money that is in a ridiculous amount of profit, some of these people are in so much profit, they're up 10,000, 50,000, 100,000%. Some of these OG whales have held Bitcoin since it was $10. The trade of a generation, some of these people have partaken upon. They don't care if it goes to $1 million because it already went to 100K. They're good. But then you have us who are like, man, we didn't buy Bitcoin at $10. I've been buying Bitcoin since $3,000, so I've got a lot of Bitcoin that I've 40x'd, right? But still, there are these people right now, like you and me, that want to buy more. And so the Bitcoin is changing hands from the OG whales over to new whales. New whales are being formed. The sailors of the space. The 80,000 Bitcoin whale is selling and sailors buying. And so this is roughly matched right now. This is why this sideways trading is actually one of the very best things that could possibly happen to Bitcoin, because it signals that these bulls that have been holding Bitcoin for a decade or more are selling, realizing profit, and not dropping the price. They're not dropping us back to the previous all-time high at 112. We've not touched it even one time. That's an extremely bullish sign. Now, here's the actual point. The average entry. This is what you have to keep in mind, is the average entry. Generally, people that buy a lot of Bitcoin are not playing games. They mean business, and they're not going to sell it unless it's up 5 or 10x. I am not playing games. When I buy Bitcoin, I am not selling it until it is worth at least $1 to $2 million a coin. Bare minimum. Probably more like $10 million a coin. I'm looking for a 100x in Bitcoin. Jeb, you're crazy. No, I'm not. It's going to happen. You watch. I mean business, okay? I'm dead serious about holding Bitcoin for a very long time. You can pry it out of my cold, dead fingers. It's not leaving my custody until 2040. So help me God. My average cost basis is higher than these. My average cost basis is higher than these early whales. These early whales are paper hands. How dare you say that, Jeb? They've held since before you were born. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. They're up 100,000%. They ought to be paper hands. You know, if you bought Bitcoin at $100 and it goes from 100,000 to 120,000, you made another like 2,000% return on the Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? So they should be paper hands, but they're holding the market down until they've sold. And so when the people that have been holding Bitcoin for a very long time sell Bitcoin to buyers that are going to hold Bitcoin for a very long time, the overall average entry of the space goes up, which bolsters the strength of the bull market and sets the average investor's expectation of where we want Bitcoin to go higher, which in the long term provides buying pressure. And so that's what's going on here. There's a lot of activity of long-term whales selling to new whales. That coin rotation, coin cycling, is extremely good for Bitcoin. It's extremely good for Bitcoin. I don't know if you remember 2 years ago, but everybody was talking about how amazing it'll be when Bitcoin hits 100K. Oh my goodness, Bitcoin's going to hit 100K. It's going to be great. And then about 6 months ago, everybody said, forget 100K. That's yesterday's news. We're all looking at $1 million. The space decided 100K isn't good enough. Now we're looking at $1 million. In 15 years, we'll be saying $1 million isn't good enough. We're looking at 10. And people will be bored of $1 million. Oh, Bitcoin hits $1 billion. Yeah, big deal. That's where we're going, right? And so we are now creating a stock of Bitcoin investors. I'm trying to help with this, that are not content unless Bitcoin's at above $250,000. And so that is the cycling that we're seeing happen right now. And so this constriction that we're seeing right now on the volatility is something that is not going to last, because this is just pure long-term buyers trading their Bitcoin for dollars to cash out, and then new long-term buyers acquiring. This is accumulation, and it's rotation, and it's absolutely phenomenal. This is like the heartbeat of Bitcoin when it comes to the investment space. This is like the heartbeat of Bitcoin. If you lose the accumulation, if you lose the rotation, if you lose the ability for long-term holders to sell without crashing the market, then you lose the underlying fundamental strength of the market itself. So it's extremely important that these long-term whales that are bulls are able to sell without crashing the price. And that's what we're seeing right now. Above 100K, all of this, literally all of it. That's what all of this is. It's all capital rotation. People that have said, I'm going to hold Bitcoin until it hits 100K. They're saying it hit 100K. I'm selling. A lot of people right now are buying Bitcoin. They're going to say, I'm holding this till it hits $1 million, and you're going to see the exact same thing in $1 million. We will hit $1 million, we'll break $1 million, and we'll sit right there around $1 million for probably 2 years when it happens in the mid-2030s. That's what's going to happen. Same thing we're seeing right now. This same chart, mark my words, you will see something similar, vaguely similar, happening in 10 years when we're at $1 million. Because people that are buying now are going to be cycling out. So, Bitcoin is extraordinarily healthy. And part of that health is a shakeout. Part of that health could be a backfilling of the CME futures gap. It is very possible that this volatility breaks with an initial correction on Bitcoin to fill the CME futures gap. This could be organic, or this could be triggered by institutions that simply want to see Bitcoin crash to liquidate your long position. This is why we are not in a long position yet. It is too early. We don't have confirmation. If we were to enter into a long position, I would want to have it such low leverage that the liquidation price is below $110,000, simply because there is a possibility for a shakeout back down to fill the CME futures gap. And if that happens and you are in a 25x long trade, you're going to get caught with your pants down. And so I would be very wary of entering into a long trade yet on Bitcoin, although I will show you when to do that in just a moment, because there is a possibility that the CME futures gap is going to get filled. We filled this one recently with our trading over the last few days, right? So a fill of this CME futures gap down here is also absolutely possible. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how to trade this. There are two scenarios, and I don't really care which one happens because both of them actually send Bitcoin up. I'm just going to kind of break down both of them for you. I'm not even going to bother trying to call which one's going to happen because it really could go either way. There's not much information on this, but they both end up with the same trade. So let's do this. The first scenario that we need to look out for is Bitcoin dropping back down to fill the CME futures gap. If Bitcoin does drop back down to fill the CME futures gap, then you're looking at a drop as low as $112,000, which would be kind of similar to Bitcoin dropping back down to $98,500, right back over here. We dropped back down just to $100,000 to kind of kiss it, and then we bounced and went on this major rally. This was the early warning sign that we were rallying. I accumulated a bunch of Bitcoin right here because when we held Bitcoin, when we held 100K that strong, I knew we were breaking out above all-time high soon. I acquired a lot of Bitcoin on this rally up because we held $100,000 with such fervor. And the same thing's going to happen if Bitcoin did have a corrective movement back down to 112. If we do, theoretically, drop back down to 112, it would be a final shakeout. It would most likely follow a trend line, something like this, here on the 8-hour chart, and we would drop potentially as low as $112,000 to $114,000. If that happens, you will most likely bounce with a lot of enthusiasm, a very strong green candlestick, because a lot of people are going to be going long. If Bitcoin drops back down to the bottom of the CME futures gap, I might even go long down there because the return to $120,000 will be rapid. If we drop back down to 112 to 114, the underlying bullish sentiment in this space would lead Bitcoin back to 120 extremely quickly. And so a 10 to 15x leverage trade from 112 to 120 would make a lot of sense. And if I go into that trade, then you will be seeing me do that in the Discord server. So make sure to sign up for 2Bit, get into the first cohort trading group just like that. Now, what happens if we don't do that? Well, I mean, there is a possibility based on the short-term analysis that we're not going to do that. We're not going to fill the CME futures gap, and we just rally back up and test that level, you know, like right now. I mean, Bitcoin's rallying as we speak. It's at 118.7. It's had a bit of a bounce even while we've been on air here. There's a possibility that Bitcoin just rallies back up to 120, which, by the way, is the level to beat. 120K sits right here, right? 120K sits right here. Man, I remember when Bitcoin was trading at 12K. I remember when that was the number. We're like, oh yeah, $12,000. I remember that Bitcoin had a huge level of resistance at $13,700. Those were the days. I missed that. That was beautiful. Anyway, enough reminiscing. Bitcoin does have a higher low here because we dropped all the way down here to 114.8. It does present us with a higher with a very low low, which gives us the possibility of establishing this as a higher low. And if that's the case, then you end up building this kind of uptrend right here, which points us straight at all-time high. If we not all-time high, 120, and if we come up here and break 120, then all bets are off. You're most likely going back to 123. If you rally back to 123, an all-time high double top is unlikely, and you'd probably be breaking out to 125 to 130 within about let's say 7 to 10 days. That's what would probably happen if we don't fall below here. So the level I want you to be looking at for right now is 116.9, $116,900. If we fall back here, then that's where you're most likely looking at a back test of 115 all the way down potentially to 112. That's where we would bottom out down here, filling the CME futures gap, bounce and rally back up to 120 in a somewhat corrective movement that looks about like this on shape and time. You're probably looking at a bounce back to 120 around sometime next week. And then from there, you're looking at a breakout back to all-time high in the middle of August. If that doesn't happen, then a breakout back up to 120 could easily manifest itself into a very large rally. We've got like a double-shouldered inverse head and shoulders pattern right here, which is a little bit wonky, but you do you, Bitcoin. And so if Bitcoin does follow through with a pattern kind of like that, then you'd be looking at a price target approximately at $126,000 right up here, which of course would be a new all-time high. At that point, the price target doesn't even matter because you're in blue sky breakout and price discovery mode, so you just go from there. What we are looking at right now also are some other levels of resistance that we want to pay attention to. With this new local bottom, you have to know, because this is very important, you have to understand that the level of resistance at 120 is actually the 0.618 Fibonacci level. These Fibonaccis are very significant because Bitcoin is floating around in between a lot of them. Its level of support, and this is part of the reason why I'm leaning, this is one of the reasons that would lean me in the direction of saying we did bottom at 114.8. Sometimes when the Fibonacci levels, when the bottom of the Fibonacci makes all the other levels make sense, like here and right here, sometimes that can mean the bottom's in. Not sure if that makes sense, right? If the bottom was at 113, for example, now the Fibonacci levels don't make a lot. Well, actually, look at that. They do. That's funny. They do kind of make sense. But, you know, for example, if you put this at a different level, the Fibonacci levels don't make that much sense. But if you put it right here, then the Fibonacci golden pocket on the retracement back to all-time high sits perfectly at 120. So that's where our level to beat is 120. If we break through 120, break through the Fibonacci golden pocket, you're going back to all-time high most likely. And, you know, that's just what we're most likely going to see. But if we don't hold this bottom here, 116.9, and also the 0.236 Fibonacci extension level at $116,600, that is our bearish entry into, honestly, a short trade. So that entry into a short trade is right here. Looks like this. And that entry into a long trade looks something about like this. I want to see us get, I'm going to say to like 12400, 12500. If you break above that, that's where we start seeing some bullishness. So these are our basic levels here. This is the most important part of the analysis, is that we've got to see which direction Bitcoin's going to break here, through the you know, the doors to all-time high, or through the doors down to the semi futures gap. It's difficult to tell which one Bitcoin is going to do. Quite frankly, there's almost exactly zero profit in trying to predict which one Bitcoin's going to do. All we can do is try and be prepared for it. And that looks a little bit something like this. If we break through 120, that's where I'm probably going to go into a 10 to 15x leverage long. With an entry probably around 115, 12700 or so to return back to all-time high. At that point in time, I would establish a relatively conservative price target, probably relatively conservative stop loss, probably somewhere right here around the visible range volume profile level of support, which is giving us support at 118. So that would be, you know, somewhere right above that, maybe even a little bit higher, just to be more conservative. Then you have a breakout back to all-time high. And then obviously my intention would be to hold this as we break all-time high up, 6, 7, 8%, try and get 60, 70, 80, maybe 100%, depending on whether I go to like 11 or 15x leverage. That's how I'm looking at trading this. We get through these doors and we have the different confirmations that we need. One of those would be Lux Algo, of course. If you guys haven't signed up for Lux Algo, you absolutely should. Links down below. If we have a buy signal coming in from Lux Algo, that'd be another big sign for me on 4-hour chart, 8-hour chart, something like that, because we don't have those right now. Bitcoin is in kind of a limbo right here. Technically, we're still bullish on 8-hour chart, but that's kind of an issue because that means that the 8-hour chart Lux Algo buy signal can't flash as a confirmation. So we'd be looking at like 4-hour chart buy signal there. Similarly, we'd also be looking at some things such as a bullish resurgence on the MACD over here on the daily chart, RSI breaking the 14 interval moving average. We'd be looking at a lot of different signals like that. And if those signals flash, those would be signals to hold that trade and continue higher. So that's what I'd be looking for. Highly encourage you guys to continue to look for that with me. If you guys want to enter into those trades with us and follow right along with us, then I highly encourage you to check out 2Bit. Sign up today and also join our trading group, the first cohort trading group over in Discord, because I want to trade right alongside you, tell you guys when I'm entering trades, when I'm exiting, etc. Now, it's not just Bitcoin that I see being helpful. It would also be a couple of other altcoins. Ethereum is in very similar territory. And I'm going to make this pretty simple. Its gates, its doorway, if you will, is basically right above $4,000. If it breaks through $4,000, then it's probably going significantly higher, especially if you see a breakout on Bitcoin. So a long trade on Ethereum it almost seems weird to enter into a long trade when it's already gone through such a big rally. So I would use a very tight stop loss here. I would not be taking a lot of risk on this trade. I would not be allowing the trade to lose money for very long. I'd probably risk at most 5 to 7% of the position, just because Ethereum has not shown that much downward volatility. If it started showing a lot of downward volatility, I'd want to know why, right? But if Ethereum does break confidently through $4,000, there is an opportunity there. Frankly, in my opinion, that is one of my less favorite leverage trade opportunities right now, simply because Ethereum has already gone through such a massive rally. Now, there are opportunities also over here on Solana, for example. Solana right now is building, I think, about the biggest cup and handle formation I have ever seen in my entire life. This thing has been building for like 4 years. The cup rim is up here at $263 because that's about the all-time high for both markets. Last somewhat alt season, and also the last major alt season, which was in 2021. Solana has managed to build a very strong bastion of support here above $120, which is much better than the very strong bastion of support it built at $20 before, and we are springboarding off of that quite nicely. A leverage trade on Solana would look something a little bit like this. You would want to see it starting to break through some of these resistance levels here on the Fibonacci retracement. We are currently finding resistance under the 0.618 Fibonacci level at $192 to $193. If we were to break this, then a rally back up to 200 would probably be in order, and then a break above $200 with confidence would be a signal that we're likely going to be returning to the all-time high. That, coupled with a decline on the Bitcoin dominance chart, which is likely to continue if we do see another leg up here, would be very helpful. And so a leverage trade on Solana might look a little bit something like this. I'd want to see us clear this recent high here before I entered, because I like to be as conservative as possible. We want to trust the setup. We want to trust the plan. I would use the 0.618 Fibonacci here as the support, meaning that if Solana dropped below like $190, I'm out. And then we would kind of trade that back up to 2.618. We're looking for, at bare minimum, like a 2.5 risk to reward ratio. We got to trust the setup. Trust the setup. Get a good plan. Follow the market structure. You've got to really pay attention to that. You've got to have a structure for your trading. You cannot just wing it. It won't work. You'll lose money. So if we start to see a breakout above this uptrend, for example, that could coincide very well with the entry that we're looking at. We could even move our entry a little bit higher, which would cut down on our reward a little bit, but it would also give us a more healthy level of confidence that we're going back to all-time high. So a breakout from Solana back up to all-time high, as it does seem that we're gaining some kind of parabolic, exciting, energy is the word I'm looking for here. Could be in order. You could even see here that we might be building a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Elliott impulse wave back up to all-time high. And so that 5 wave here is what we're looking at trading. So great entry opportunity here on Solana. If you want to see us trade this, then stay tuned. Join the first cohort trading group. And if we catch that trade, then we will be doing that with you. Now, Cardano is one of the markets that I'm the most excited about right now. We did a video on this recently. That video blew up and got over 100,000 views. And for good reason. Cardano has a very, very obvious doorway back to all-time high that we want to talk about. And we've got so much charting on the Cardano charts that we're going to have to go ahead and go for a clean chart. My goodness, look at all the analysis. We've been doing technical analysis on Cardano for a very long time. Let's see if I can find a clean chart without having to delete it, because it's very important that we have clean charts. We'll just go ahead and delete this one. This is the Kraken chart, so a very good chart to use. So this is the chart for ADA. This is a very interesting chart for a number of reasons. My favorite reason that this is a very interesting chart is this downtrend. If we start our pivot point of the downtrending level of resistance up here at all-time high at $312, then we can draw that downtrending level of resistance straight through our 3 local tops. You then also can draw an uptrending level of support like this, and that gives you this symmetrical triangle pattern here on Cardano here, which is likely going to lead to a break higher. All right, you've also, at the moment, got a uptrending level of support kind of like this forming. I'd like to see if Cardano is going to hold this. If it doesn't, totally fine, doesn't bother me. But the visible range volume profile is giving us support at 73 cents. Now, if you look at the Fibonacci retracement, you can see there's a very clear floor here, right? Very obvious floor. We have a triple bottom down here at 50 cents. 50 cents is extremely well defended right now on Cardano. Before it was 30 cents. That was extremely well defended. Now it's 50 cents. You can see that there is a laddering process that's going on ADA. And you can also see that right around that visible range volume profile level of support at 73 cents is the 0.236 level of support at 70 cents. I'd like to see if Cardano can hold 70 cents, which would obviously necessitate a back test to 70 cents. If it can, then that would be excellent confirmation that we're going to see a break higher. If we do see a hold on this uptrend, the visible range volume profile support, or on this Fibonacci level here at 0.236, then that is something that we're going to want to watch very closely, because if we bounce off of here, then that would establish an uptrending level of support, something like this, that would point Cardano back into this massive downtrending level of resistance that is just impossible to ignore. If Cardano breaks this downtrending level of resistance, this is where I would be going into a pretty aggressive long trade on Cardano. And of course, I would be posting about that in the Discord server. So make sure to sign up for 2bit and get into the first cohort trading group for free for a year. Save yourself $419 today by signing up for 2bit. And I'll be doing that trade over on 2bit if we break out. Now, of course, that has not happened yet. And as you can see, this 91 cent level is basically our gateway, because it is the 0.5 level. It is the level that we tested most recently. And if we break through here, we're going to have to break through that level again. So what you can see is a breakthrough of this downtrend would likely result first in a stopping out point here at 90 cents, then a stopping out point here at $1 if you want. And I like to be as conservative as I can. I love taking profits. One of my favorite things to do. I don't mind if I miss out. That's okay. Doesn't bother me. That greed is the reason that most traders don't make money. If I see that Cardano has broken out, is hitting 91 cents, it might only be a small movement, right? This might only be a 5% movement, but on 10x leverage, that's still a 50% movement, right? Okay, so chill, right? If we break this downtrend and we get the confirmation we're looking for, take it, right? By the way, if we do have this kind of pattern right here, you're building kind of an uptrending inverse head and shoulders pattern with an uptrending level of resistance right here. That would give you a beautiful price target of, if you did it conservatively, $1.23. If you did it more aggressively, $1.36. And overall, you're going to see a very large breakout here on Cardano, back up to at least $2. A lot of people in that video that I uploaded a couple of weeks ago thought I was saying $2 was the all-time high for this cycle. I don't think that at all. I think that the all-time high for this cycle is probably going to be more like $5. On ADA, I think that conservatively, Cardano is going to go to the 1.618 Fibonacci level at $4.86. And so that's more so where I think we're going to go. Although what I do think is that we're going to need to break right here through the Fibonacci golden pocket, which is basically the doors to all-time high here at $2. If Cardano breaks $2, you can bet your bottom dollar that it's going to go to $3. And so that is what we were talking about in that video. We're going to go to $2 relatively soon, probably sometime later this year, and then probably all-time high will happen sometime early next year, and that'll probably be between $3 and $5. I still stand by the prediction that Cardano will go to $10 by the end of the decade, which is why we hold a great deal of Cardano and have accumulated Cardano during the bear market, and I'm very excited to hold that stack, and I will continue to hold it. So if we break through the downtrending level of resistance, that gives us a doorway back up to 90 cents, then a doorway back up to $1. I would probably take most of the profit at $1, because that on even 10x leverage would be like 180% reward. This is why trading altcoins can be much more profitable than trading Bitcoin, because they are extremely volatile compared to what you see on Bitcoin. So stay tuned, because there are excellent opportunities presenting themselves right now on the altcoins, and I am very much looking forward to trading those with you in the Discord server. So if you have not already, sign up for 2bit. Links down below. Get your free $30. Get into the Discord server for free. Come trade with us over here. Bunch of people in the Discord server. As you can see, a lot of conversation going on. A lot of great information being shared. A lot of great tables and data. A lot of wonderful technical analysis being shared by the community over here. A lot of valuable information for you that will help you to profit and make money in the cryptocurrency space. So sign up for 2bit. Jump on in to the Discord server today. Let's read chat. Really appreciate you all being here. I absolutely love hanging out with you guys. This is one of the things I look forward to every single day, is doing the live stream with you guys. It's very fun. All right. USD GDP only up because imports are down. Overall economy is gloomy. Yeah, we saw GDP growth come back at 3% this morning. Indie Rock Crypto said, "Good morning. I'm using my Crypto Jeb mug this morning. Love you, Jeb and fam. Come back to visit Michigan. Michigan is gorgeous. What a beautiful state, and this is a great time to visit because it's very beautiful up there in July and August. We were up there 3 years ago in August. Absolutely gorgeous." Let's see. Next year is the bear market. That's the theory. We'll see. Good morning, Jeb. Loving all the analysis on the market. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Crypto Ben Franklin. Hey, I really appreciate it. If you guys are enjoying today's stream, hit that like button. Let's see if we can't get to 400 likes. What are we at? We're at 144 likes. Oh, them's are rookie numbers. Come on. We got to get them numbers up. I just hit like button. It's 145. You know, I remember when I started the channel and I had 5 subscribers and 3 of them were me. And I was like, whoa, I've got 2 subscribers and they're not me. 2 people want to hear what this idiot has to say. I don't understand. The first 1,000 of you guys, strike that. The first 10,000 of you guys that subscribe, some of you guys are watching this right now, are obviously insane. You're obviously crazy. Because why would you waste your time listening to this idiot back in 2017? What the hell did I know what I was doing? I was 16 years old, right? Well, I guess I was 17 by the time I started the channel, but I know what I'm doing now. But for the first couple of years, you watch back, and it's funny. I didn't know what I was doing in the first year. But a lot of times I actually got it right. And sometimes that's a lesson because you can just... It's so easy to psych yourself out. It's so easy to psych yourself out and think, oh man, I don't know what I'm doing. And actually, technical analysis is not as complicated as people make it out to be. A lot of it just comes from not... Okay, let me put it like this. This will be easier to understand. Have you ever picked the right answer on a question on a test? Second guessed yourself, scribbled it out and picked the other question, the other answer, and then you get it back and the first answer was right? That's the issue that most people have with technical analysis. Your surface level reading of it was right. You're like, no, it can't be that simple. It's got to be this like palm reading, tea leaf reading, witchcraft kind of business. No, none of that. Ugh. None of that. A lot of times it is as simple as it looks. A lot of people are like, Jeb, is this pattern? I'm like, yep, you got that right. They're like, what? Jeb, I thought you like got bit by some radioactive spider and that's why you're so good at technical analysis. I'm like, no, I just studied it, right? It's not as hard as you think. And so I love teaching you guys technical analysis because you can do it. You can read these markets the same way I do. A lot of you guys read them better than I do. You ought to make your own channel, some of you guys. You know, that's why I love the Discord server. I learn from you. I teach you, you learn from, and I learn from you. It's beautiful. You know, don't psych yourself out. You got this. You're better at this than you think you are. Sometimes you just need to give yourself a pep talk instead of being so hard on yourself. Because believe me, I understand. When you feel like you're the only person that's coming because the cavalry ain't coming and either you figure it out or nobody figures out, either you change the trajectory of your family's destiny or it's not going to happen, then it's easy to say, I've got to be super hard on myself. But you've got to be encouraging with yourself sometimes too. Talk to yourself the way that you would talk to somebody that you love. That's my biggest piece of advice. All right. Jeb, we need to talk, brah. Altcoins are cooked and retail isn't coming. We don't need retail. We don't need retail. Retail didn't get us to $123,000. Retail's bored of Bitcoin. That's a good thing. I love that retail's bored of Bitcoin because I want to grow in silence. The best way to grow, this is what I did. When I started the channel and I graduated high school on May 26th, 2018, I graduated high school and I dropped off the face of the map and nobody heard from me for about 6 months. And in that time, this channel went from 1,500 subscribers to 15,000 subscribers. And I made my first $40,000. I disappeared off the face of the map. I locked myself into my room for 14 hours a day. I listened to music. I watched YouTubers that were billionaires and learned from them. I made YouTube videos. I learned technical analysis and I built a product. And I was insanely depressed. It was a very dark time. But I 10x'd the subscribers on this channel. I uploaded a video every single day. I vanished and I came back and I was a completely different person. I lost a bit of myself in that time because I went 3 months and I didn't see another human being besides my dad except for one time when I was out at the end of our driveway and doing a bicycle road by and I'm like, oh, what do I do? There's a human. Like, because I lived out in the woods, you know, we lived out in the middle of nowhere, didn't have a car. I disappeared. I steeled myself. I said, I am going to make this happen or I am going to die. I was convinced, this is before I met Christ and I knew that there was eternal salvation. I was convinced that if I did not figure this out, the fear of failure would kill me. I was that hell-bent on succeeding. I thought that if I failed, I would die. And I disappeared. Didn't talk to anybody between May and about September for, you know, what's that? 4 months. The rest is history. It's still being written. Some of you guys are not willing to discipline yourself for 4 months to change the next 40 years. Some of you are not willing to put your foot down and say, for the next 90 days, I am going to completely recreate myself. I'm going to go in one person, I'm going to come out another person, and I'm going to be better for it because it's scary. Well, let me tell you, as someone who was forced to do that, because I didn't choose that, I was just stuck. But let me tell you, as someone who did that, it will change you. And while it's changing you, if you decide this is going to make me a better person, it will. Take the opportunity, if you have it, to become a different person if you think you should. And once you become the person that you believe that you should be, don't ever let anyone convince you to change. Ever. I don't mind that retail isn't coming because Bitcoin is for the people that understand it. Everyone will get Bitcoin at the price that they deserve. And if they don't want the money, if they don't want the Bitcoin at this price, that's fine. I'm happy to buy it instead of them. I don't mind. There's enough people in crypto that understand how beautiful this market is that it's going to go to $1 million. It's going to happen. Virtually guaranteed. It's just a matter of when. And the big players, the institutional players, realize that. Something you've got to realize is that the top 10% of the top 10% of high net worth individuals hold like 50% of all the net worth in the world. The bottom 50% of wealth has seen virtually no wealth growth in the last 70 years, mainly because of inflation and monetary policy benefiting people that have money. Because you know who writes the laws, the tax codes, all that? Who writes those laws? The rich and the famous and the wealthy and the politically influential. The tax code is written to benefit people that have money. You have to get some money to get into the club, and then the system benefits you. So the people that are buying Bitcoin right now might not be mom and pop, although plenty of them are buying it also. It's the institutions that are worth literally 1 million times more than mom and pop. You know how many mom and pops it would take to buy $2.46 billion worth of Bitcoin? But it's not even close. Because we've got so many big players buying that much. It's that simple. How's your family doing? Praying for you guys. Thank you. Trying to figure out when the baby's coming. At this point, we're looking at induction because it's very difficult for my wife. She's in a ton of pain, so please continue to pray for pain relief for her and for the baby to come soon. The baby at this point wouldn't need NICU, so we're just praying that baby will come on out soon. We could hand her an eviction notice. That's what we would do. Get out of there. You gotta sleep in your bassinet from now on, or in our arms, right? We love that little baby girl. We're looking forward to meeting her because Mama will be in a lot less pain when the baby's on the outside. So prayers for her, prayers for us. It's very difficult, very unstable situation right now just because we never know when we're going to have to go into L&D. And at the end of the day, that's that's not that easy. Hopefully you can sympathize with that. Only old school programmers knew what crypto gambling would become. The rest were gambling. We knew. Yeah. You been working out, brother? Trying. Don't have much time to. Doing whatever I can whenever I can. I'll just take a little bit of time. Like if I have a minute, I'll just do some like handstand push-ups. You know, feet on the wall, doing some push-ups off the ground. I'll do some crunches, push-ups. Try and run a mile every once in a while. It's difficult because there's, you know. Again, always wondering when we're going to go into the hospital. It's very hard to have a schedule in that kind of situation. But whenever I get a minute, I try and take 5-10 minutes and do some calisthenic stuff. Best I can do right now to keep my body moving. Bitcoin is used to store the value of your alts. Yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's stream. If you did, make sure to sign up for 2Bit over here. Would love to trade with you guys. Join the trading group. Would love to get you to know you guys better. You can see all these people in my DMs over here that I've been talking to. Love talking to you guys. Love seeing all the analysis that you guys are doing over here. Watching different, watching different analysis that y'all are doing is very exciting. Watching some of these trades. I know I told you that the other day we had someone here, ASAP Lewis, get 1,000% P&L on a trade. 1,000%. Turn $300 into $3,300. Absolutely incredible. Very, very, very proud of him for that. So a lot of cool stuff going on over in the Discord server. Definitely FOMO into the Discord server. Sign up for 2-bit. Deposit $100. Sign up today. I appreciate all of you guys being here. And, I just want to remind you what this is all about. I want to tell you a story before we wrap out. This is a story that I hold very near and dear to my heart. And if you're not interested, that's totally fine. This is the last thing we're going to talk about today. But I remember when I was it was 2018. I was just starting the channel. This was actually just a little bit after that time where I told you I just kind of disappeared. And during that time, I had a lot of time to myself. And I was very lonely. And I had no one to talk to. And so I started thinking about God. Started thinking, maybe I should talk to God. Is God real? I don't know. But at that point in time, I had proven through physics that the material universe is not all that there is. I had proven that through a hypothetical supercomputer, and I proved that free will guarantees a spiritual dimension. And so that had me thinking, okay, well, if there is a spiritual dimension, if there is something beyond the material that is the genesis of consciousness, then perhaps that is Jesus. Who knows? So I started talking to God during that time, and I was very open to the idea, and I basically told God this. I said, God, if you're real, prove it. If you're real, show me, and I'll give you my life. Just prove it. Just show me you're real. Show me you're real. Show me you're true. Show me you're good, and I'll give you my life. Just show me. And so I was right after the end of that kind of big long period, about 4-month period. A friend of mine, Shannon, who later went on to be the chief marketing officer at the company. You guys have seen him on stream before. If you look up CT2A to this day, you can see his picture on there. Shannon had about 10 acres of property and didn't have a chainsaw. And so I brought my chainsaw over to his house. Story time with Jeb. I brought my chainsaw over to his house, and I didn't think that he hadn't used a chainsaw very much. So I wanted to cut down this tree for him that he wanted cut down. And it was this big, tall, like telephone-looking pole tree. And it looked something like this. Let me see if I can pull up a picture and show you what it looked like. Because I can still kind of picture it in my mind. Basically a completely dead pine tree. It looked like a telephone pole. It looked like a telephone pole. That's literally what it looked like. The top was broken off. It's completely dead, totally straight, no branches, all of that. And so it was in the middle of the woods right here. Kind of walked in out of the field into these woods, and there's this big telephone pole looking tree right here that he wanted me to cut down. And there was, pine trees all around it. We're in Florida, so it's very, very dense, very thick, and there's a live oak tree. And I thought to myself, there's no possible way to drop this tree without it getting hung somewhere. And for any of you guys who have used chainsaws before, if you get a tree hung in another tree, that's what's called a widowmaker, because if the tree falls on you, it will kill you and make your wife into a widow. And so when you drop a tree in the middle of the woods, you have to figure out where you can drop it, where it's actually going to land on the ground instead of landing in the limbs. Because that's extremely dangerous. You can have kickback, which can kill you. You can have it fall on you, which can kill you. It's very dangerous. And so being naive and not having as much experience at the time with the chainsaws as I do now, because I had just started using them that year, I thought to myself, I'll just drop it through the limbs of an oak tree, because it was the only open spot. Generally, that works because the tree weighs 4,000 pounds, breaks through the limbs, and it'll fall and hit the ground. Well, the thing that I didn't factor in is that this tree was so dead that it was brittle. You could probably punch a hole in it. It's so brittle. So I was very good at dropping trees on a tea kettle. I had a steel tea kettle, and I would drop a tree on that tea kettle every single time, and I'd hit it with the tip of the tree every time. I was very good at aiming a tree with the notch. And so I dropped this tree exactly where I wanted it to, right through the smallest parts of the branches of that oak tree. The tree is about 40 feet tall. About 20 feet up the tree is where the tree hit the branches, and it broke in half. The tree's falling, breaks in half, scissors back on me. And so the bottom half of the tree is now falling towards the ground. The top half of the tree has collapsed. It's buckled in on itself like this, and it's falling back towards me. And I see this tree coming at me. And the top half of it probably weighs, 1,200 to 2,000 pounds. It's a big old pine tree, right? And so my initial instinct is book it that way. I'm standing right here with the chainsaw in my hand. Run that way towards the entrance, over where Shannon is standing. He's sitting there watching this happen. This tree's coming back. My initial instinct is to run. If I had have run in the direction that I wanted to run, that was my idea to run, I would be dead. because I am a student of physics. I have almost a photographic memory. I remember this almost well enough that I could export it out of my head and upload it as a video to YouTube. If I had have run the direction that I wanted to run, the tree would have fallen right on my head and at best paralyzed me, most likely driven me a little bit into the ground and killed me. And as that tree was falling back down, I had this urge, this instinct to run that would have gotten me killed. And I heard something. I heard 4 words that changed my life and saved my life. And those 4 words were, don't move, you're fine. I've told this story many times a year ever since it happened in 2018. I heard the words, don't move, you're fine. Was that my own conscience? No. Because my idea was to run. That was not me that thought that. That thought did not come from me. Because my idea was to run. Now remember, the context is over the last 4 to 6 months of this happening, I had been telling God, if you're real, if you are who you say you are, simply prove it and I will give you my life. All you got to do is show me and I'll give you my life. Don't move, you're fine. Had I have moved the way that I had have intended to in my own will, I would be dead. And the channel would have stopped because I would not be here anymore. And by the way, I had not yet given my life to Christ, so I would not be with him. I would be in hell. So let's ask this. Was that the devil? Was that the enemy telling me, don't move, you're fine? Well, I lived. I lived to go on, give my life to Christ, and I've preached the gospel to over 1 million people on this channel. Was that the enemy that told me to sit still, to don't move, you're fine? No. That voice was confident, but it was calm. It was strong, but it was gentle. It was still, and it was quiet. And it was the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit spoke to me that moment. And the Holy Spirit saved my life from my stupidity of dropping a tree through branches and having it scissor back on me, which I should have never done. That was an incredibly stupid rookie mistake. He saved me from my idea of running that way, which would have gotten me killed. And so because I heard a voice that I knew was otherworldly and I obeyed it, I watched that tree and I tracked it with my eyes and I watched it fall down and I watched it miss my left shoulder by less than 2 inches. And it fell, plopped on the ground, bounced up about 3-4 inches off the ground, and I was left staring straight at Shannon, straight in the eyes. And he said later, Jeb, you look like you just crapped yourself, which is probably true. I still didn't give my life to the Lord that day. But later on, the next year, I did. And I will never forget that story. And people tell me, Jeb, why do you talk about God so much? Well, I told you at the beginning of the story we were done talking about crypto. If you wanted to now, you could have. So you're here by your own choice. So don't fuss at me. But for those of you who are willing to listen to stories like this, they're real. That was not me thinking that. Because my first thought, my only thought was to run, was to get the hell out. But I'm carrying a giant chainsaw. I'm on pine needles. I can't run and get out there and get out in time. It wasn't the enemy. The enemy wanted me dead. I was not Christ yet. I would have been in hell with him. That only leaves one possible voice, and that was the voice of God. The Holy Spirit told me to stand still, to save my life so that I could come on this channel and tell you about his goodness. Following Jesus Christ is more important than following these charts. He saved my life that day for many reasons, but one of them was so that I could use my influence, so that I could use my platform to share his glory with you. We all on this channel are so concerned about this, but oftentimes we forget about this. Please never forget that me talking about Bitcoin on this channel is literally a front for me to share the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ with you. Give your life to him. If you're not ready to do that, I'm going to make a dare. I'm going to dare you to put God to the test like I did. I said, humbly and respectfully, not a neener, nana, nana, boo boo kind of way like some of you guys do, but I humbly and respectfully, as an agnostic who did not believe in God, spoke into the ether, God, if you are real, prove it, and I will give you my life. I dare you to say that and mean it. I dare you. He will answer that prayer. If you do it humbly and respectfully. If you shake your fist in his face and act like you're better than him, he's not going to listen to you. But if you speak that prayer in humility and in faith, I guarantee you that he will show up in his own timing, in his own way, because he's God and I'm not, and neither are you. I dare you, if you are on the fence and you say, Jeb, I don't know about God. I don't know about all this. I dare you. Put him to the test. I am a Christian. You don't need my permission, but if you're like, oh, I need some Christian to tell me it's okay. You have God's permission to ask him to show you his goodness and his glory and his reality. Can I get an amen in chat from everybody in here who follows Jesus? If there's one of you under the sound of my voice who's wondering if he is who he says he is, I dare you. Say, God, if you're real, prove it, and I'll give you my life. I dare you. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Never forget what really matters. And before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.